versus an experienced business owner who wants to start a blog. So now that I kind of know who you guys are, I'm trying to tailor the messages to what I hope that you will benefit from. So I am Melanie Mendez-Gonzalez, and I am the founder of QueMeansWhat.com, which I usually get que means what, and because it literally means what, in case you didn't know that. And it is a leading Latina lifestyle blog focusing on education, entertainment, and family life in Texas. I have been blogging since December of 2010. And so throughout that time, I have, on my own, I'm still a one-woman show, connected with the particular Latino community, because that's where my heart and my passion is, the Latino community online, and have built my own voice and brand by doing some of the steps that I'm going to share with you tonight. So from just blogging all on my own, I've been able to travel the country, different conferences. I was a speaker last year at South by Southwest for the panel is called How Latina Moms Are Raising the Next Gen Coders, because that's my next step, is focusing on STEM education for the Latino community. And I just came home from Baltimore for one of the larger blogging conferences called Blogalicious, where I gave a presentation on how to connect with your local media to help build your brand. And more recently, I was in Dallas at a Texas-based blogger conference called Blog Elevated, where I spoke on a panel about how to use culture and language in the business of blogging. So thank you so much for having me here, and we'll just jump right into it. So, what is online or digital influence? Does anyone want to take a stab at what that actually means? Great, so give me the answer. So an influencer, an online digital influencer is what I call myself, or a social media user who has digital influence. And according to Techopedia.com, digital influence is the ability to create and affect, change opinions and behaviors, and drive measurable outcomes online. Why is this important for your brand? It's important because while word of mouth marketing will always be the best kind of marketing there is, that word of mouth marketing has moved tremendously online. We all connect on social media, mostly Facebook. It still has the largest user base, and share, right? Like, I don't know about you guys, but in my Facebook page, at least twice a day, I see someone say, hey, Facebook friends and family, I'm looking for a dentist. Or have you guys tried this blog hosting? Or whatever it is that they're looking for, I always see someone asking Facebook about their recommendations. How many of you see that on a regular basis in your Facebook feed? Yeah, it's pretty common. I mean, it's what we do, you know, because we hardly call people on the phone anymore. So now because we're so connected online, it's much easier. And you get a lot more feedback when you just put it online. Give people a couple of days to leave the comments, and there's usually conversation going on. So digital influencers are people who are using those social media platforms to have an influence on what people think. So in my particular case, this is how I've built my business. So my blog has sponsored content, and I've worked with various brands. The last one was actually today. Because I do speak about education on my blog, one of the sponsors is called livingtree.com, and they're an online platform for parent-teacher communication. So since we're used to using social media to communicate, they have built something that's that's replicated, something like a Facebook, but it's secure and it's private, and it's where teachers and parents can sign up, even the students, and communicate that way online and privately. And so it was a match for me when they approached me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. Like, I'm always talking about education. I strongly believe that one of the keys to education is parental involvement or family involvement, family engagement. And Living Tree is giving them a tool, giving all parents and teachers a tool to help create this communication in a way that we can use it, right? 'Cause it's on the phone, it's online. Anyway, this isn't a commercial for Living Tree. So they paid me to write a post about it, and then today we did a Twitter chat, which we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. So why did I want to do that? For one, the company is about education. Our values matched. It made sense for Gaming Sweat, the Latina mom who's always talking about education, to partner with a company who is selling a product that will help better education. For two, because it was a conversation online about education, it helped introduce me to a bunch of parents who are also wanting to have that same conversation. So hopefully after this, a lot of them that followed me due to this Twitter conversation today will still continue to have conversations later on, because I'm always talking about education, and that's what they show their interest in. So this is why it's important for your brand, because either you want to find these digital influencers or you want to be the digital influencer. Okay, so we talked a lot of, so one of the ways to do this is to blog. So some of you will start a blog, some of you have already started blogging, some of you have a lot of experience. But I want to know what it is that you're blogging about. Tell me about your brand and why does anyone care about you? Because there are a lot of marketers and graphic designers. There are a lot of, was it commercial insurance? Agents. And so what is it about your brand that people will want to work with you or do business with you? So that's something you have to keep at heart every time you go to write anything that you're going to leave your digital footprint. It should come from what you uniquely bring to the brand. So, blogging, a lot of times they ask about SEO because we want great SEO so that everybody will find our blog. So I'm not talking about that today, and I just wanted to make that clear. So if you want great SEO, Yusuf just shared all of his workshops, so you can come visit them or follow Yusuf, and he can help direct you in that. So that's the technical stuff we're not addressing. But you do need it, and that's why I left it, is because it is still important. So my tips are to blog regularly and consistently, and I will speak to this from being on both sides. From having blogged not regularly at all and just whenever it struck my fancy, and my traffic was not great and people didn't know when they were going to hear from me again, to the other side of it, to using a calendar, being consistent, being not only consistent in the timing but the topics, and it works. It's like magic.
How many times?
That is completely up to you. Especially for business owners that are doing it themselves, that's something you have to take into consideration because obviously you're running a business. And blogging isn't a direct income producing activity. It's part of the strategy, but it's not direct. So you want to be careful how much time you're spending on it. The most important thing is that you are consistent. If you only blog once a month, you only blog once a month. That's what your customers will learn to expect. Well, I don't suggest that, but if that's what it is, that's okay. The key is to be consistent. Use an editorial calendar. Because we're already business owners and we already have so many other things going on, if you can plan out what you're going to write online, it will help you tremendously. It's one less thing that you have to think about. If you know, okay, I'm gonna blog once a week, but you don't know what you're gonna blog about, it's one of those things that just kind of stays in your mind, and starts to clutter your mind because you're wondering, well, what will I blog about? And you think you have an idea, but then you see something come on Facebook and you're like, no, that's a much better idea. I'm gonna blog about that. But you're not really sure yet because you haven't planned it out. So plan it out, it'll save you stress, plus you'll get a head start. You'll start to see what people are looking at for the future. So like for a business that sells gifts, you start planning now, you'll have a way bigger head start on what December is, buying season, rather than December 1st, you're trying to figure out what's going on the website. Link up. So if you're writing blogs, you want to, let me go ahead and click all the other ones. So if you're writing blogs, you want to connect to other bloggers or other websites and try to link them up with them. You want them to share your blogs on their website as much as possible. And we'll go a little bit more into that, but just know that that's still something that's very important. And your class is coming up, right? The Linking 101, that's what he's talking about. And so there is a right way to do that. There is a lot of bad information out there about linking to websites, so you have to be very careful in what you do. But a very basic smart step is to connect with people who have a similar audience and try to link to each other's blogs or websites. You want to guest post, you can offer to guest post on their site. If you know someone who's maybe not doing the exact same thing as you, but their audience could benefit from what you have to offer, you could offer to guest post for them. So that's one less article they have to write. And you can also invite them to guest post on yours. So you're sharing the audience, and it helps people to reach a bigger audience. And stay on top of current events. This is really important in the sense of what's trending and how relevant you are. If you're still talking about things that happened a few years ago because it's really important to your business, you're probably the only one that cares about it. Because think about how we consume our media today, right? Like today everybody's talking about the Pope visiting, the United States. It's huge. They're not going to be talking about that next week. But if somehow there's a tie-in for your business, you want to be able to say, oh, I can share something about this, or give some insight, or give some valuable information on this today. But if you're, not reading the paper, watching TV, keeping up on social media, you don't know what's happening around you, and you can miss a really good opportunity on sharing something and setting yourself up as the expert. So give you another example that I just shared this morning. So I am a local blogger. A lot of my website is about San Antonio. I talk a lot about the Latino community, and I also talk about education. So I started noticing on my social media feed that there were several organizations in San Antonio that were recognized by the White House for their education initiatives for the Hispanic community. So I already made a mental note, like, I need to find out what this list is, what are they talking about, because this sounds like my people. So because I already knew what it was, I got an email from one of the organization's communications director. She said, I don't know if anyone shared this with you, but we were recognized. So it was the San Antonio Education Partnership. They were recognized, as well as Cafe College. And not only did she share that with me, she shared me the whole list of the San Antonio organizations. So she did the work for me. I didn't have to go look for who else is in it. So today I posted it. I made it a little bit more personal about why I was glad to see that our local organizations are being recognized at a national level. But had I not been paying attention, I would have seen that email and just thought, I don't know what she's talking about. My editorial calendar is full. I don't have time to write about this right now. But because I knew, it caught my attention and I got it up on the blog. And in turn, they have been sharing it from their sites. So now my blog is being introduced to an audience that maybe I wasn't reaching before, and it's an audience of parents and students who are interested in education. And you want to blog to your ideal client. How many of you have gone through some kind of business training where they talk to you about either writing it out or imagining it or creating a profile for your ideal client? Yes. Okay, so that's who you want to blog to. This one's hard for me, mostly because I write a lot of personal stuff, but I want to write about what I want to write about. I want to write about what I care about, what I think is cool or happening, but I have to keep in mind who's reading my blog, and I have to write it for her. So for me, it's the Latina mom who wants to be a leader in her community and is engaging in family time, in education, and entertainment. And so, I mean, it is kind of me, because that's me too, right? But, like, but I'm also very political. and I might want to write about that, but that mom probably doesn't care about the same political issues that I care about. So I have to remember what's important for her. She's my ideal audience, and so I encourage you to always keep that in mind, not just for your business, but this part of your business too. Who are you having the conversation with? And are you answering any pain points? If you're a business owner, you probably already know the most common questions that they ask you. You know, you can probably list them right now. I would suggest those be some of your top blog posts. You can spread them out as much or condense them as however you want, but that's what people are coming to you for already. They already expect that you are the expert in those parts, and that's what you should be blogging about. Okay, so social media strategy. So once we've got our blog up, we've got our blog posts going, you're using your editorial calendar, the best way to get that out is through social media. So you need to learn your audience. I suggest that you learn your audiences on each social media site. So Facebook, Twitter have analytics that you can go and look and see who that audience member is, because it could be different who's following you on Facebook versus who's following you on Twitter. I think Periscope is working on that, right? They're working on the analytics, so that'll come out. For Instagram, you can use Iconosquare. That gives you a little bit more information about who is actually paying attention to you. But your strategy should be different for every social media platform.
And I have to use all of them?
No. I love that question. You do not have to use every one of them. You want to get really good. If you're just starting, get really good at one of them, and then go from there. And if you're already on multiple, it's kind of a trial and error thing. Try it. If it doesn't work, change it. I've pretty much dropped Vine because I don't make 6-second cute videos. It doesn't work for me. It just doesn't. I see who does really well on there. It's not my audience, you know. It's a much younger audience, and I appreciate that. And I think the ones that do very well in topics like education are almost the exception to the rule. And that's okay, right? But I have my name saved on there, so people know who I am, and it still directs them to my site. It tells them who I am, but I'm not spending time making 6-second videos. It's just not, it's not my thing. Same thing for Pinterest. I'm not a DIYer. I could, but I'm not great at taking great pictures of it, you know. So Pinterest isn't really my thing either. So no, you don't use what's most important. My audience likes a lot of news, so Twitter is a big one for me. Twitter is still very newsy. They want news, things that they can use, tips. And so that's the kind of audience there. You want to tweet often. Twitter is a little bit vicious, where if they go to your Twitter profile and they see you haven't tweeted in even just like 2 or 3 weeks, they're like, they're out. They're not even doing it, because most Twitter users are very active. You want to retweet people, the people that, again, are the same interests or are the experts in your industry. And you want to join parties and chats. So I didn't write it down before I came, but there's a website, I don't know if you know it, where you could find a list of all the Twitter chats that happen. Do you know what a Twitter chat is? Mm-hmm. Anybody not know what a Twitter chat is? Okay, so a Twitter chat is an online conversation that happens on Twitter. You usually follow one hashtag. So like the one I was talking about earlier today, our hashtag was Living Tree. So you could just click on Living Tree or search it, and all of the tweets that were about Living Tree were happening, and they were flowing through the street. And so you engage with the people that are using that hashtag and talking about that conversation. And they usually last about an hour, and it's usually like a host or 2 or 3. And they'll ask questions, you know, like ours have 5 questions today for the audience to engage, and a lot of times they give away prizes. That's usually a big draw. If like we gave away 5 $100 gift cards today, so that's usually a draw that people want to show up. But the point is, you begin to engage with the community that's talking about the same thing you're talking about. So like if you did one on health, you would find the community that's talking about that, or the community that's looking for that information. And so it's that's pretty much how in the beginning. Now I use some other tools and stuff, but in the beginning I only did Twitter parties. I didn't even know there was another way you could use Twitter. I only did Twitter chats, which for me, it was called the Latinos in Tech Innovation and Social Media Group. That's how the first hashtag I found on Twitter. I stayed up till like 4 in the morning the first time I got on, just looking at everybody who was using that hashtag and what they were saying, and it was like, yeah, these are my people. Like this is where I need to come back to. Every Thursday night, I would show up to their Twitter party. And it was always a topic, I mean, it was always a conversation on a different topic that affected the Latino community. So fast forward, I ended up hosting those Twitter parties myself for the last 2 years. And it helped establish my voice as someone who cares about, who is engaged for the Latino community. So it doesn't have to be, and we didn't give away prizes, not on most of them, very few did we ever give away prizes, but it was a very organic conversation that usually dealt with education, health, business, and technology. And so if you knew, you would know, if you want to talk to Latinos in any of those 4 things, you could search hashtag Latism, and there would be a conversation going on around those. So there is something like that for every industry. You just have to find it.
So you put the hashtag in.
Like in the search button?
Will tell you if it's a party or not?
No, not usually on Twitter. I will find the link that I'm thinking of, and it'll say, and there's a lot. Like there are a lot of Twitter parties. That's what I'm saying. There's one for everybody.
I see the tickets for the toro, for the beneficio that you offer from the Dallas meeting on your Facebook. Yeah, you offer tickets.
It's on your blog.
Oh, I'm not sure which
for
one.
the movie.
Oh, yes, for Sicario, that's right.
Yeah.
I just did a movie ticket giveaway, and I'll do another one. Right, yeah, I do that a lot too. So, that should have been on the blogging one. Actually, giveaways are great. If you're just blogging, you might do a giveaway if it's your business. That's a whole other topic, but giveaways are also really good to drive traffic. So that's Twitter. Does anyone have questions about Twitter? Facebook is still very much friends and family, communicating with one another, sharing. It is leading more towards a business center, because I feel like Facebook is giving us more of the tools that we can use to market our business. It wasn't always like that, but now it is. And so again, use of class on the Facebook ads would be very important, because the thing about Facebook or any of these social media things is they can change whenever they want to. I think we've all kind of learned that, right? They can just change it whenever. So you want to stay up, but it does seem like it's going more towards helping the small business owner market to their networks on Facebook. And so that's very different than what's happening on Twitter. I tweet like at least 30 times a day from my Camping Squad handle. I would lose a lot of friends if I posted 30 times a day on Facebook, right? Yeah. Like they'd be like, oh God, lady, shut up. So it's very different. So you have to keep that in mind. And then, it's your personal Facebook versus your Facebook page. To me, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, as much as I want to hang on to my personal Facebook page and just make it that, I'm a digital online person. The lines are blurred, and so whatever I put on my personal, I feel is just as much strategy as on my page. I mean, maybe not just as much, but it's very similar. So keep that in mind for Facebook. So again, you see how the strategies would be different for each one of them. So a lot of people will say, oh, just connect your Twitter to your Facebook. So every time you do it, it'll go, it'll post to Twitter too, so you don't have to think about it. not always a good idea.
There's a question. So 30 times a day, like how do you break it down?
Well, so I use some automatic things, I admit it. I do use some automatic tools that I can use, and I try to do at least 1 hour, tweet 24 hours a day, because there's people in other time zones that we can still have same great communications. And then I try to tweet a little bit more during the peak times, like in the mornings and then in the evenings. So it just depends on where your audience is. Periscope, so that's a completely different strategy because that's live streaming. And literally your face is becoming the brand, like people are seeing who you are now. And so you better not be Periscoping 30 times a day. People will think you don't even really have a business because what are you doing on there for that long all the time?
There's another question.
Yes.
They love your stuff.
Oh, thanks.
So basically, the timeline on the personal Facebook and the business page are different, right?
Yes. Yeah, because so we're gaining followers on our Facebook page that tend to be people we don't know in our personal circle, right? Because we're marketing ourselves, we're pushing beyond that circle. And so my strategy is that the people that are on my Facebook page and my personal are more local to me, because that's how I started Facebook, with the people that I know. I know there are other people, I do have friends across the country that I've connected with, or business associates that I've connected with, but the thing is, when I look at my analytics on my Facebook page, it's way more diverse of people. You know, it's like across the country than it is compared to the people that are on my Facebook page. We don't have analytics for our Facebook page, our personal Facebook page. So we don't really know. We just kind of have to keep in mind who we accepted as friends.
What do you use for automation on Twitter?
I use HootSuite, Buffer, and another one called Round Team.
All those three?
Yeah.
And what do you do is that your material that comes into those, your collation?
Not always.
No.
Did I go into this? I'll go into it now, because I thought I was good. So on HootSuite, I do pay for the Pro HootSuite, and what I use it the most for is there is a publisher option. So here's what I found. Are you guys on Feedly? So you can get all of your favorite websites in one place. So if you're not, I suggest you sign up for Feedly. There is a free option, and what it is you sign up for all of your favorite websites to be delivered in one place, and then you can sort them. Like I have a whole category for education, and then I have national and local and statewide websites like the TEA, like NEA Today, all these different organizations. I can click on education and I see if they put something new today. And then I have one on Latino community and all of the Latino websites that are on there today. Do you know what I mean? So you can do it. So that's Feedly, right?
And that's Feedly, FEEDLY.com.
Yeah, so that's what Feedly is. So what I like about it is it gives you everything in one place. You don't have to keep searching it. And so remember we talked about staying on top of current events. You want to see what they're posting, what the experts are saying there too. So I went there and I was like, oh, wouldn't this be great if I could just... So one of my favorite websites is called News Taco. And I know that there is almost nothing that News Taco would post that I would not want to tweet out, right? Because I know their website, I know what they're talking about, and it makes sense for my audience. So I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could just, every time News Taco posts a post, it would just automatically tweet. So it costs a fee on Feedly for that to happen. It can, I think it's like $5 a month to be able to do that. So since I already subscribed to HootSuite, there's an option on there called Publisher. So now we could show you guys how to do it. It's not hard if you're already using it, but now HootSuite allows me to, every time I start to post a blog post, it'll go out on my Twitter handle.
2 questions. So we can use Feedly to curate content, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Second question, when you talk about Facebook Analytics, you're talking about Facebook Insight on the page,
yes,
right?
Sorry, yes. I still use Analytics.
Yeah. Facebook Insight.
It's called Facebook Insights. On your page, it'll say Insights. It'll give you all the breakdown of who is liking your pages and comments and all of that stuff on there. Yes.
On the last point on your board up there, Periscope, live streaming your face is becoming the brand.
Mm-hmm.
My clients don't want to be the brand. They want to build the brand and sell it. So
Being the face.
the fancy word that the lawyers use is severability. And so what happens is if you use your face,
Mm-hmm.
your severability is shot unless you want to sell yourself,
Right.
whatever that means.
Right, and that's the dangers of live streaming. You know, unless you hire a spokesperson that's going to live stream for you. But then the end of challenge with that is that there's no script. It's all happening, and as it is. And so you have to are you willing to trust them to do that? Or real quick, you could live stream other things rather than your face all the time. That's a different strategy that you could take for Periscope. So if there's events that they go to, like if Yusuf didn't want to use his face for the brand, he could just live stream on his speakers the whole time.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. In fact, today it was the Periscope Summit in New York. So there were a bunch of brands sitting on the stage talking about how they're using Periscope for their customers, company that sells shoes, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they were being successful.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so you have to go to cash.me/Periscope Summit and watch all their Periscope. There was another guy by the name Aero Maestro who scope, but he doesn't show his face. And he's very popular. But again, it depends on the audience, it depends on your, but when it comes to social media, the way people trust you when your face is there.
Right.
In most cases, but
Yeah.
not necessarily because Aero Maestro, he doesn't have his face on, but he's very popular too.
What does he do?
He just he travels places and shows different places, but he's himself not in charge, but he does attend startup conference. He talks about startups and technology.
And so he's talking on it.
He's just talking out. He's just
So
like
see,
showing.
That's another good point,
Yeah.
though, is his voice is becoming
Yep.
recognizable.
Absolutely.
So, did that help at all?
And to use what was the software
For what?
for the
Catch.
Yeah.
Catch.me.
Okay, then.
It's a website. You don't have to have an app to see everything on Catch. You can just log on. You just go on the website, catch.me/Periscope Summit.
Yeah, Periscope Summit. Just cash.me/Periscope Summit. Even the person who wasn't showing his face, it was kind of hilarious because you could just Google his name. He's there.
Yeah.
I can see all these images and videos.
But they just
So-
might not be comfortable with being
Yeah.
on there too. So I'm gonna say this even though it's on Periscope. When I do Periscope, I put my makeup on before I put the camera on because
Right.
I'm still not comfortable with being on the camera without any makeup. So you just do what works best for you. Because I've seen people do it without makeup and they're fabulous and it's great and kudos to them. It's just not me yet. So then Instagram. So Instagram, you're gonna have clear, beautiful pictures. I suggest that if you're using it from your phone directly, that you take an intro to photography class or go look it up online and learn some parts about what good photography is, because it is important. Because people who are looking on Instagram are mostly just looking at the photos. You can have some great captions on there, but what's going to catch their eye is how awesome the photo is. And so this I think you have to be a little bit more creative for business owners, because if you're selling a product, you do not want your Instagram to just be your product all the time. Well, I guess if it's like a boutique and you have a whole bunch of fashion outfits you can put together, that's great. But if you have one product, it does, they don't want to see it over and over again. In another way, you could grow Instagram and increase your influence is to either host a photo challenge or to join photo challenges. So we recently did one for Hispanic Heritage Month. It's actually going on right now. And we made it, even though the Hispanic Heritage Month is 30 days, we only did 15 days. So we did 15 days of Hispanic heritage. It was super simple. I can't believe it's almost over, but we're already on day 9. And the engagement that we've gotten on it alone has been huge. It was a blogger out of Austin. Her name is, she goes by The Nueva Latina. She had seen that Some people had done it last year and she wanted to do it this year. So I said, okay, let's talk about it. We put together a little graphic, came up with what we would like to see. So a photo challenge is, you can make it however long, right? So ours is 15 days. So we numbered them day 1 through 15, and on day 1, it was like me. On day 2, it was a drink. On day 3, it was colors, whatever it is. So you do that. And so the people who join your challenge post the photos of those things every day, you know, accordingly. And so it helps, again, it's kind of like a Twitter party, right? It's the same people who want to share the same information that you do, which in turn means you guys have the same interests and you can have conversations online. It's your people, it's who you want to be with. And so that's, and then if you're hosting it, then it's like, hey, yeah, like I'm the, you know, I know I'm the influencer, you know, and I want to see what everyone else is doing. So all of this, all of these different ways, you want to also create your own social media campaigns as part of the strategy. And what I mean by a campaign is it is a strategy. It's like a mini strategy that happens only during a short period of time, and it needs to be on. You often will create your own unique hashtag. And you'll engage your audience, like in your newsletter. You'll let them know that this is coming, like this is an ongoing event. So the photo challenge is our own mini campaign. You know, this is what we're doing. So it's not something that's going to continue on forever. It's just going to be for 15 days or however long you do it. You see brands do it all the time. You see big brands do it all the time. Like a lot of them right now are doing some form of Hispanic Heritage Month campaign. You know, so you as a business owner want to create your own social media campaign. So, and it's very specific to social media. It's not going to be an in-person thing. It's only going to be online. And so here's as part of, so I said that other brands are having their own campaigns. So I would encourage you to find a national or charitable social media campaign to be a part of, but you have to be very careful and make sure that it's something that you would authentically do anyway. It's not a part of, to grow your audience, you know, it's something that you would do anyway. Even I, as somebody who gets paid to blog and post online, there are several campaigns that I'll participate just because it speaks to me and I want to have that impact as well. You know, like when it comes to feeding children and things like that. You don't have to pay me to do those things. I want to do them, and I want my brand to be associated with something, some campaign that's helping that as well. So social media tools. So we already mentioned HootSuite. The pro one is $9.95 or around $10 a month. I highly recommend it. Iconic Square for Instagram will also give you insights. There's a follow, unfollow, which is also helpful. I wouldn't use it religiously, but I would use it to see who's following and who's unfollowing you, who's really trying to build a community with you and who's just coming and going. Are you guys familiar with IFTTT?
Love it.
It's called If This Then That. That's what it stands for. And the website is ifttt.com. And you can create your own recipes for it. And the one I recently added, and it's been a huge help, I got from Ray. So shout out to Ray, because he showed this to me and it's helped. So I've created a recipe. So you connect your social media accounts to it. So my Twitter account is connected. So I can say, okay, Twitter, every time someone tweets hashtag STEM education, STEM EDU, add them to my Twitter list that says, I can't remember what it's called, like tweeters about STEM EDU or something, you know, something like that. And so not only do I see who's tweeting about STEM education, but now they're going onto my list, and so it connects to them that I am interested in STEM education, and that I have a whole list of people who are also interested in STEM education. So it keeps going around, right? And then they come back and say, thank you for adding me to your list. And I'm like, of course, thank you so much for tweeting about it. And we, you know, connect, and it just becomes a circle. And so when I'm looking for somebody about STEM education, I have to search the entire internet. I can go to my very own list of people who are talking about STEM education. And you can do that with any hashtag you want. So you can, instead of searching, yourself looking for, because what I ran into in the beginning, I didn't know all of these cool tricks in the beginning, but what I ran into in the beginning was I was looking for that. I was spending hours on Twitter looking for people who were tweeting about the things that I wanted to talk about. And so, for instance, like I would look STEM education at the hashtag, and I would look, then I have to click on their profile, see when was the last time they tweeted, what else have they tweeted about, And now with tools like this, you can just see, so the good thing is you're not overwhelming your Twitter followers, because you're not like kind of going back and forth and retweeting them. You're just adding them to a list. So the only person that knows that is the person you added to the list. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It is a fabulous way to grow not just your following, but people you want to engage with. And so if you go and look at my Twitter list, you see what I'm interested in. I have lists of other bloggers in Texas, STEM education, higher education, Latinos in entertainment. So you can tell just by my list what I'm talking about and what I'm interested in. The best social media tools to hire a virtual assistant. I mean, it's just, they know what they're doing. This is what they do. They have these processes streamlined already. I know some people are like, no, do your own social media. You can, but you can at least guide the virtual assistant as to what you want them to do.
You should guide them.
Yeah, and you should guide them.
What you want them to do.
So you still have a lot of
That's not
input,
an option.
right?
You have to do that.
So you've heard it from the virtual assistant herself.
Yes.
So that's because social media is probably the biggest time suck.
Yeah.
Because everybody says, you need social media, you need to be on social media. So then you go on there and you spend your entire day on there, and then you're like, no, I hate social media because I don't do my business anymore. Now I do social media. So you have to be careful. So use tools or just hire someone.
How do you find a virtual assistant?
There's so many places. Upwork,
Here's
you
one.
can have right there. Colleen is right here. She does that. There you go. Or you can go to any other outsourcing websites.
Okay, so then find your tribe. This is extremely important because you are a stronger influencer when you're a part of a tribe. So who are your supporters? You need to identify those people that will just support you. And it might not be who you think it is. We always think that our friends and family are going to be so excited to support us in our business. And they're not. They're tired of hearing about it on your Facebook page too. So stop it. Ask yourself, how does your blog or business benefit or fit with others? So again, it might not be the exact same thing, but people can use, like I think about the gifts, and I think, there could be corporate level people that could benefit from your services. You know what I mean? So it could be a good fit. So you want to find where does that fit in with other people, and then try to make that connection that way. You're not trying to sell to them. These aren't people you're necessarily trying to sell to. If that happens, it's magic. But that's not what finding your tribe is about. Can you support those people in person and or online? So again, if there's someone that you know that's hosting a Twitter chat, go support them. Or if they're hosting an event, go support the event. Like it's legit, real support. Go for the ask. So I put this in here because for me it was always, people would say this all the time and I couldn't really understand what they were talking about. It was always hard for me to make that conversion, right? Like I'd go to meet people who I thought we were like-minded people, and then I'd walk away with no connection or anything because I didn't know how to do it. And all you have to do is ask. Say, hey, I'm looking for my tribe. How can we support each other? This is what I do. How does that support you? Or how do you think you can support me? Like they're not gonna, some of them might ask you, but don't guarantee, don't bank on that. You have to ask. You have to put yourself out there. So push outside of your immediate circle. Again, going back to the friends and family. They might know people, but they're not your tribe. If they were your tribe, they'd be buying from you or signing up for your team or whatever it is. And also, this is another piece that a virtual assistant can help you find online, because it can take time finding that tribe online, because your tribe might not be local. Your tribe might be people from across the country, and it takes time to go and find them. I have spent a lot of time looking for my tribe. Like even the awesome blogger that's partnering with me for this Hispanic Heritage Photo Challenge, I found her on Instagram because, so another thing I have is a group called the Texas Latino Bloggers. And while that might sound like, oh, there's a lot of Latino bloggers in Texas, it's not that easy. So we've been at it for about a year, and now we're at about 100 members in Facebook, because we have to find them. We have to find people that are saying, I self-identify as a Latino/Hispanic in Texas, and I consider myself a blogger and influencer and whatnot. So it's not that easy sometimes, or obvious. So you have to keep looking. So anyway, so I found her on Instagram, and I said, hey, you should join our Facebook group. And I'm very glad that I did that a few months ago, because then this project came along, and I think it's been a good fit for the both of us. But that can take a lot of time. So if you have a virtual assistant, that's somebody you can say, this is what I'm looking for. You know, these are the people that I want to connect to, and so go for them. Do you know who your digital influencers are in your industry? Can y'all think of anybody right now of who you would consider a digital influence in your industry? Raise your hand if you can think of that person.
Dave Asprey, Bulletproof Executive. Dave Asprey, Bulletproof Executive.
Okay, so he uses his online influence a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should know who this is. They're out there. They know who they are. And so you want to find them and engage them in a very non-creepy way, and start to connect to them and see who their followers are, and see where they hang out online. I mean, you know, see where they hang out. What are they doing? What are they talking about? Because if they have influence, it's like, that's where you want to be. You want to be in front of those people too, and there's plenty to go around. Okay, so to have actual influence, you have to be the teacher. So be the expert in your field, or become the teacher. What I mean by that is, you don't have to know everything to start to teach. In my particular case, talking about Latino culture, I didn't grow up with my Mexican heritage. There's a lot of traditions that are on my blog, and I wrote about them as I experienced them for the very first time. But along the way, by sharing that with my readers, I became the teacher while I was learning myself. Yusuf is a great example of this by hosting these classes on a regular basis. So we all know, we think of Yusuf, we think of online marketing expert, right? Like the guru, even though he says he's not. Give away the advice on things like Periscope. I know that seems scary, but there's a lot of advice that you have that other people don't know, and you think like, oh, well, I think, you know, why don't people know that? But there are a lot of people that will show up to hear what someone in your position can share with them. Write about it on your blog. There's another blog topic, you know, your expert advice. Just, you to have influence, you have to establish yourself. You have to show them, yes, I know this. Yes, I know what I'm talking about. You can do e-products. Yusuf will be very happy to learn. I'm setting up my first e-product.
Awesome.
But again, my first one, I will give it away as part of signing up for my emailing list to gain more people into the community, but also to show them, like, I know what I'm talking about, and I want to share this with you. Give it away in your newsletters. And so first you have to do all of these things, right? To be the teacher, you have to teach somewhere. And if you're not literally in front of a group or literally in front of a classroom, these are good ways to be that teacher. Because in order to grow your brand, in order to grow and have more people see you as an expert, you give it away, and then you can go into customizing it for that person, right? So you can give away 10 tips for healthier living, or tell me something.
How to quiet your mind.
Okay, 10 tips on how to quiet your mind, right? And then they see you, oh, okay, yeah, all right. And then as they begin to need that more and more, then they go, oh, now I need something just for me. So let me reach out and see if this is what he does on a more personal level, or maybe for me and my friends. Now it's time to do a retreat. I need somebody to come in and teach us how to quiet our minds. Do you know what I mean? If you don't give that stuff away, they don't know if you're real or not, or what you know. So that's how you can be a teacher. In person, join your local and national professional networks. So this is, again, going back to how people perceive you as the influencer. So if you are a journalist, if you're a PR person, right, and you have your own PR group, if you're not a part of the local Public Relations Society in America, it's kind of hard to think that you're really in it, like you're really serious. So join them, and then we'll get on. And this is really important, going back to the digital part, because a lot of times when you're here, when you're at these networking things, they're doing social media, and they're sharing, like, look who's here, hey, share about my, if you go, say you go to a professional network, and they're having like a teaching day, and just like we are here now, right, like we're doing this, and if you're tweeting about me, that I'm here, not only are you that's great for me, but it's also great for you, that you're showing, hey, I'm a serious business owner, and I'm here learning, I'm here continuing. It's the same thing with the professional networks. If there's some kind of social media engagement that they're doing, which there almost always is, then it'll show on your site, hey, yes, that digital marketer, she's actually learning all the time. She's learning new things, so I want to be with her because she knows what's happening. To be an influencer, consider reaching out to your local media. And so this is something I did at Blogalicious, which I'd be happy to share with your group again too, to have a whole presentation on how to reach out to your local media, to get on TV, to get in the newspaper, to get a feature in the magazine.
Let's do it next month.
Let's do it. Offer to be guest speakers at schools and colleges. So if you're afraid to speak to adults, you can speak to kids. And you can start to set yourself up as an example there. Volunteer. The more people see you around, the more. And again, and I say all of this because whenever you connect yourself to a larger group, that group is also wanting to share in social media, so they're sharing that you're there, you're sharing that you're there with them, and it goes back to the whole circle. Consider hosting your own fundraising event for your industry, for something that you feel passionate about, and share all of that. So then create your own social campaigns around each one of these, and that goes back to you being the influencer online. So maybe your clients don't care about what, the latest commercial insurance stuff. But if you're hosting at a fundraiser, or if you're co-sponsoring a fundraiser, and they see that that's, you're in the community, you're doing things, you become the influencer. Oh, okay, he has his own business, and he's donating to, CASA or whatever. Like, okay, I get it. He's doing something. He's creating his own influence, so he must be important. So, bottom line is that all of this, you still have to be an influencer on more than just your business. All of these examples are things that you have to do to reach outside of your business. It can't just be the best graphic designer. Like, there's a lot of graphic designers that will say that they're the best graphic designer, and maybe they are. But to really have influence, you have to be talking to people about something more than that, something bigger than that. What else do you know? Where else can you have influence? Because maybe your influence isn't there in the graphic design industry. Maybe your influence is around parents or other women business owners. How do you influence those people? It doesn't have to directly impact your trade or what you know. Because that's not as important as impacting the people who need that trade or know the people who need that trade. And that's it. This is me. This is where you can find me. You can email me, gameansweat@gmail.com, my website, gameansweat.com, and I'm on all the social media channels as gameansweat. So whichever one, take your things. You can connect with me. Yeah. Do you have any questions?
No sé nada.
Yes.
Okay, so you focused on the growth side of the whole thing. There's something called sick company syndrome. You can also have a sick tribe syndrome, where you build this little tribe and then it goes,
Right, yeah.
especially if you get a couple of bad eggs in there and stuff.
Right.
This is well known. Long before social media, there was a thing called Usenet, Net News, that had this problem. Have you healed one of these or had to abandon one?
I've had to abandon one. Yeah.
No, I bet.
Yeah, I've had to abandon one and then I started my own. I just went and, I mean,
You started your own sick tribe?
No, I started my own coffee tribe. But even in my own tribe, you know, there's people that were very excited in the beginning and then for whatever reason, you know, they either stopped blogging or they just stopped engaging as much or they found other tribes and they left. And you course correct.
Well, that's okay if they leave. That's okay. It's when they stay and become a troll that's a problem.
Well, can't avoid it, but
Yeah, it's a risk. It's a risk that you take when you build community. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There are some times when I'm like, what am I doing? Like I'm putting all this effort into building a community, and sometimes you want to see payoff, like right, you know, from the beginning. And I have to remind myself that this isn't a short-term, you know, something that I'm gonna get. What's the phrase I'm looking for? Like I'm not gonna get something for it right
You're
away.
doing good. You're doing good. But what the question we're dancing around here is, how do you get rid of the customer from hell?
Well, I'm not talking about. Well, yeah. I get the customer from hell.
okay.
You know,
folks.
online, you block them. You.
So if you all have any question, let me know.
That's-
If not, I'm just gonna go ahead and end this clip real quick.
You do,
All right, folks, thank you for waiting.
can't do a whole lot about them if they keep fighting.